What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Naruto was neglected and chosen by the ancient god of Chakra? If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments, and also check the description to original creator of this beautiful creation. Jiraiya dropped Naruto onto the ground. Slowly, Naruto began to regain his consciousness. He began to get up. Naruto woke up groggily and looked around his surroundings. Where was he anyway? Before fainting, he was trying to summon a frog but instead he kept summoning tadpoles. He kept summoning and soon he collapsed from chakra exhaustion. Get up! Naruto jerked around to see his recent mentor Jiraiya. Huh? Where are we? Naruto asked. Looking around, there was what seemed to be a line of bushes. There were a few trees here and there. He took a look at Jiraiya's face. It was one of seriousness. Get up! There was no humor in his voice so Naruto quickly obeyed, knowing that Jiraiya wasn't a man to cross. He began to speak. The training ends today. If you don't want to die then figure it out yourself. What? Naruto was perplexed. He had just been taught the summoning jutsu, which he still needed to perfect. Why was Jiraiya ending the training now? His teacher slowly raised his hand and, using his finger, gave a poke to Naruto's forehead. Then he flew through the line of bushes and saw what was on the other side. Nothing. It was simply a gorge. One of the last place Naruto wanted to fall. Jiraiya simply listened, hearing his pupil's screams slowly fade away. Now, we'll find out shortly whether Kyuubi's power that was granted to you is really a blessing, or a curse. Jiraiya thought. Naruto was still falling. Seeing a rock ledge come into view, he summoned some chakra into his hands. He grabbed it, but to his dismay, he slipped and continued to fall. It's useless, Naruto. The rocks are too slippery from the waterfalls. In addition of your falling, you're not going to stick with a little bit of chakra. Jiraiya thought after seeing Naruto's incorrect methods of saving himself. Naruto, you have no choice. You have to rely on the Kyuubi's chakra. Use the key. This time from your end. That bastard, I should have never hid behind this stupid mask. If I get out of this I'll take no more shit from anyone. Naruto thought as he continued hurtling down a waterfall and would soon meet his demise when he reached the bottom of it. I refuse to die, he screamed in his thoughts. All of a sudden, time seemed to stop for him. Everything slowed down and he felt as if he was being pulled into another world. Unknown location. Naruto appeared in Sea of White. So the pervert fucking killed me, huh, old bastard, mumbled Naruto looking around. You aren't dead, a feminine voice said, although when I'm done with you dying won't even be possible. He turned around to see a beautiful woman about 5'6" and was wearing a white kimono with golden swirls and was barefooted. She had an hourglass figure and E-cupped S. She had a heart-shaped face with ivory-colored skin. Her eyes were a golden color and she had long flowing snow-white hair that stopped to the middle of her back. Who are you, and what did you mean by that? Asked Naruto. My name is Kami, and you are my chosen, said the newly named Kami while Naruto's eyes widened. What exactly does that entail? You are going to be trained by me and a couple of other strong fighters, and if you wish it you will be my husband, she said smiling while Naruto blushed. But why me? He asked quietly after getting his blush under control. Your life wasn't supposed to be how it turned out. I was swamped with work and when I checked again everything went wrong. She answered sadly. You were supposed to live with the love of your parents, but that didn't happen. This is my way of apologizing for my mistake. There's nothing to apologize for, Kami-chan. Listen, I'm going to implant memories of 4 of your ancestors in your mind and I want you to go to the lookout that the first Uzumakis used to train, she said as a gold, blue, purple, and black with red outline orbs appeared over her hand and the 4 orbs flew into Naruto. I'll be waiting, Naruto-kun. Real world. Naruto's body continued falling when his eyes snapped open and flashed teal before he on instinct used ki to stop himself from falling. Wow, my ancestors were badass. The Rikudo Sennin, Ichigo, Goku, and Vegeta, their abilities will come in handy, but first I had to get to the lookout. Naruto thought, flaring his ki. Naruto shot out of the gorge so fast Jiraiya never even saw him before a punch connected to his face. When Jiraiya looked up holding his broken nose he saw Naruto standing there, but he was different. Where he was 4'11" he was now 5'3". His hair was longer, his bangs reaching his shoulders and his hair more spiky with 2 sticking out like fox ears. Think Akatsuki Team 7 Naruto pic. And his jumpsuit ripped apart from his sudden growth. You bastard, you tried to kill me, stay away from me, tell the old man I'll be back for the finals. Naruto said, glaring before he took off through the sky. Naruto. I really messed up now, sigh, but how'd he fly away like that? Jiraiya said to himself before shunshined away. With Naruto. Naruto was currently flying high above the clouds, enjoying the feeling of freedom he was having when he saw a huge bowl-like palace. Wow, it looks amazing, even though I have memories of this place, but seeing it with my own eyes is spectacular. Thought Naruto before he landed on the platform and walks around seeing how dusty the place was. This place could use some cleaning, Naruto said to himself before he formed a cross-hand seal, shadow clone jutsu. 10 clones appeared. Get to work on cleaning this place, he ordered. While the clones cleaned, Naruto went to find some clothes to wear. 15 minutes later, Naruto was standing in front of a white door taking a deep breath. Naruto walked into the room. The hyperbolic time chamber has an entrance at its center, located in a central building with 2 side wings with housing, food supplies, bathing quarters. There was nothing that tells if it was light or day, everything was just white that made the room look like it went on for miles. Welcome, Naruto-kun. Turning to his right, Naruto saw Kami standing there smiling. Walking over to her, Naruto smiled. This place is kinda weird, but if it'll make me stronger then I'm all for it, Naruto said enthusiastically. Good, because we're going to start now. Meet your trainers, Kami said before she snapped her fingers and a flash appeared and 8 people appeared. I won't explain what they're wearing, think canon. From left to right we have the Shodem Hokage Hashirama Senju, Naidame Hokage Tobarama Senju, the 3rd Raikage, Izuna Uchiha, Makoto Uchiha, Mito Uzumaki, and your mother and father Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze. Kami introduced while a tear slid down Naruto's face at his parents taking a step forward. Naruto appeared in front of the both and hugged them while crying. Incredible. He used Shunpo on instinct alone and he isn't disoriented from it at all, Kami thought while everyone watched with warm smiles. How? Naruto asked looking at Kami. I mean, I know you're Kami, but don't you have rules against this type of thing? Normally yes, but you see I have too much work. I can't keep track of everything you see. Despite popular belief there aren't any other gods or goddess, she said, shocking Naruto. The ones that are said to exist are actually techniques I have created. You will be the first god in existence, Naruto-kun. I have a mission for you though, but I'll tell you about it when everything is said and done. Kami explained cheerfully. Now create as many clones as you can, she instructed. Naruto put his hands together and shouted, multi-shadow clone jutsu. In a puff of smoke 3,000 clones appeared while each of Naruto's teachers got evil smiles. Okay, each of you separate into groups of 375. Kami yelled before she turned to the teachers while clones followed her order, go get a group to Tortua. I mean train, yad train, he. I modified the chamber so we'll be in here for 31 years, he should be finished by the time the finals take place. Kami explained while Kushina and Minato smiled brightly knowing they will be with their son for 31 years. The teachers all walked to a group before they went their separate ways and out of sight. While Kami kept the original. Now Naruto-kun, you will be here physically training and getting your new abilities under control. I also want you to create a sword of your own and fuse it with Tensa Zangetsu. Any questions before we start? She asked, rubbing her hands together. Yeah, why are there Uchiha training me? I don't have the Sharingan. Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. Oh right, I forgot. The Uzumaki clan were distantly related to the Senju clan by the sage's daughter marrying one of Goku's and Vegeta's descendants. As their bloodlines mixed over the years they became the Uzumaki clan. The Namikaze clan was members of the Senju clan and Uchiha clans that wanted peace. There were also a clan known as the Kurosaki clan before they were wiped out after a disease killed all spiritually aware individuals. A survivor named Ichigo married into the Namikaze family. That's how you are related to the sage and the ancestors you know about. You are a direct descendant of the Rikudo Sennin. The Uchiha are here because they could teach you about the Sharingan, and when you have a full handle on your Sharingan I'll fuse it with your Rinnegan. Kami explained before she saw the glint in Naruto's eyes. I will also have the eyes self-destruct if you become arrogant, she said seriously while Naruto paled and looked down in shame. Sorry about that, Naruto apologized. Can't be arrogant because of my power increase. Ancestor Goku was never arrogant and he was impeccably strong. I'll surpass him and everyone else, I promise, Naruto thought determinedly, before a burst of power originated from his eyes which he ignored. I'm ready, Kami-chan, Naruto said, showing his newly activated Rinnegan. Kami smiled approvingly. Good, now I want you to run around this track, but before that, she walked up to Naruto and tapped his arms, chest, and legs before Naruto fell to the ground. I just added 10x normal Earth's gravity to your body, give me 60 laps, she said while Naruto grumbled about sadistic teachers and trudged his way to the field. With Kushina. Kushina was looking out at the clones as they worked through the sword kata she showed them with their Tensa Zanjetsu while she was conversing with one of the clones. I'm sorry your life was so terrible, Naruto-kun. I was really happy when I found out I was pregnant with you. It was probably the happiest moment of my life, Kushina explained while the clone smiled at her and hugged her. You don't have to be sorry. Tsunade-chan told me you loved me when we exchanged letters secretly every other month, clone Naruto said. I'm glad she's doing her best to stay in your life even though she doesn't want anything to do with the Leaf Village. Yeah, I don't know why, but every time I think about the pain she's been through, my chest tightens and I just want to get stronger to protect her from all the pain, Naruto said, clutching his chest while Kushina smiled. He really loves her, even if he doesn't know it yet, thought Kushina. Well then, before you get started we have to talk about something. It's time you had the talk, she said, smiling while Naruto looked confused. With Naruto. Naruto was currently huffing and puffing with sweat dripping down his form before a memory came to him from a clone who was talking to his mother, and a blush covered his face with blood dripping down his nose and he fainted. Kami giggled seeing his reaction. He's so innocent, although I can't believe she was that detailed. I guess she will never forgive Minato for his decision with Naruto being a Jinchuriki. I guess I have my first harem sister already, thought Kami with a perverted grin. Month later, 31 years in the time chamber. Naruto, who was mentally 44 but looked 21 years old, standing in front of the chamber door about head to Konoha. The last 31 years had been intense. After his training, Naruto was sent to different dimension to learn new things and test his skills, and it was all worth it. Naruto's clothing had changed. He had a black t-shirt that hugged his form, showing his six-pack to everyone. He had red combat pants with black steel cap boots. Think Goku's shoes, only black. On his face was a white fox mask with red lines descending from the eye holes. His eyes were all black with 3 golden lines moving from the slitted pupil and had 3 golden tomo on each line. He was carrying a 5 feet 61/2 inches overall with a black blade that measures 40 inches long, with a black handle with the crimson kanji for moon a long 20 chain links on the handle. This was Tensa Masamugetsu. He had fused Tensa Zanjetsu with a sword he created named Masamune. The blade was indestructible and it kept all of Zanjetsu's original abilities. With a swipe of his hand, the mask glowed black with a red outline and faded away, leaving a 21-year-old looking Naruto while his eyes turned red and black before they turned again to their original blue. Today's the day. The world sees the new Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, Naruto said. Give them hell, Naru-kun, a voice said. Naruto turned around to see Kami, Kushina, Makoto, and Mito standing there smiling. During his training he had grown close to each of them. He first tried to see them as family, but it didn't work, and when Kami told him she wanted him to have mates, to have more goddesses, Naruto went straight to the girls and marked them, Makoto being the Shinigami, Mito being Inari, and Kushina being Yami. I will Miheims, Naruto said as he kissed each before he shape-shifted into his 16-year-old form, now standing 5 feet 8 inches, walked out of the chamber waving. Real world. Konohagakure. The day of the Chunin exam finals had come for everyone that had wanted to see the competitors fight for the glory of their village. The viewer stands were packed. On one side were the judges, on the other side were the shinobi, mainly Chunin and Jonin. In the center there were the villagers and any genin shinobi. At the top was the cage booth, consisting of Sarutobi and the case cage. Sarutobi couldn't wait for Naruto to arrive. He had heard what happened and gave Jiraiya an earful for his reckless actions. Jiraiya had went to look for Naruto, but he was nowhere around, so they just settled for when he returned to see what's changed. In the arena, standing there was Neji, Gaara, Shikamaru, Tamari, Kankuro, Shino, and they were waiting for the Hokage to make his announcement. Up in the stands, Sakura, Ino, Kiba, Hinata, Tenten, and Choji were waiting for as well. Wonder where Sasuke-kun is. Thought Sakura. Wonder where Naruto is, no one has seen him for the entire month, said Ino. Who cares about that stupid baka? He's nothing compared to Sasuke-kun, he's a genius, answered Sakura. How could you say that he's your teammate? Asked Ino, shocked, while Sakura stayed silent. That was when Hiruzen walked up and did his speech about how they all managed to make it this far in the exams. After giving his speech, a Jonin named Genma came down to announce the fights. The first match of the Chunin exams will now begin. Will Hyuga Neji and Uzumaki Naruto step forward while the other competitors go the fighter's box to wait until it is your turn, said Genma, as he heard the crowd cheer, and the Jonin wondered if it was for the obvious reason that Naruto wasn't here. Coward. He says he'll make me pay, but in the end he's just a loser. Thought Neji, smirking. Since Uzumaki Naruto is not here, Hyuga Neji is said Genma, but was silenced by a whistle catching everyone's attention. They turned to see Naruto with a dango stick in his mouth, smirking. Sorry I'm late, got hungry on my way here, Naruto said before he walked to stand in front of Neji while everyone looked shocked that he wasn't wearing any orange. Are you both ready? Genma asked, seeing them nod. Hajime, shouted Genma. It doesn't matter how much you changed over the course of this month given to you to prepare Naruto-san. You are a loser and you will nay urkk. Neji never got the chance to finish as he was punched in the stomach, forcing him to double over, and a knee was sent crashing into his face, sending him flying back. He struggled to get off the ground. He glared at Naruto. This a fight? Stop with the monologue already. Naruto said evenly. Neji glared at Naruto and activated his Byakugan. He was going to charge when he realized one important fact: he couldn't see Naruto deactivating his dojutsu. Neji screamed. Why can't I see you with my Byakugan? Everyone was shocked to hear that while every Hyuga activated their dojutsu and had the same result as Neji. It's a seal I created, Naruto said while everyone who knew of how complex seals are to even learn looked shocked. I originally created this seal to fight Uchihas. They're a bunch of stupid bastards. A good Uchiha is a dead Uchiha. Naruto shrugged while no one could believe what they were hearing. But your teammate is a Uchiha. So, Team 7 more like Team Joke. Look at all the members. A pathetic fangirl who can't use that huge forehead of hers to think of a damn thing useful. A gay Uchiha who only broods and plot revenge all day. Guy's a flight risk, and me the Dobi, Demon, Baka, and a handful of other names, and a teacher who plays favorites and only trains the Uchiha, and preaches about not abandoning comrades. Fucking hypocrite. Naruto said while Sakura was shouting from the stands, but everyone ignored her. What happened to you? You were nothing like this a month ago. Neji asked, trying to think of a strategy. Oh, I always been like this. You see, I've come across a very precious memory of the events of my birth which lead to the life I have lived, and my mask needed to go. What you see here is the real Naruto. I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, son of Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune, and if you don't like it you can suck my ! Quote. Naruto yelled before he vanished in a burst of speed and kicks Neji in the chin, sending him flying. He appeared over Neji and hit him with his fist intertwined before he shouted, Kao Ken. His body got a red hue and he punched Neji in his spin and appeared on the ground and punched Neji in the guts, forcing Neji to spit up blood unconscious. Winner by knockout, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Genma yelled while everyone was sitting shocked by Naruto's proclamation and comparing Naruto and Minato together. He knows? But how? That secret is known to only 3 people. Sarutobi thought. He's that bastard's son? How could I have missed it? Thought Orochimaru in his disguise and silently seething at how he lost his chance to have the ultimate body. Naruto sighed and floated up off the ground, shocking everyone further before he sat on the roof of the fighter's box and unsealed a plate of dango. Can I have some? A voice asked. Sure you can, Koko-chan, Naruto said, smiling. So you remember me? Yeah, you were the first one in the village to ever treat me normal, Naruto said, looking to the figure on his right. I appreciate everything you did for me, Anko-chan, Naruto said, looking at Anko seriously. Anytime, Foxy-kun, Anko said, smiling while chewing on her dango, while Naruto chuckled before he looked down at the field for the next fight to star. Cage booth. Hokage-sama, the Uchiha has not arrived yet, and the next match he has with Gaara no Sabaku is supposed to start now. Should we postpone the match? Said a Jonin. The Uchiha had his chance to compete today, but blew it by not showing up, and should not get a free pass because of his clan name. Clients will expect the shinobi they hired to be on time, and if we excuse Sasuke because of his clan, then we are telling them that we don't care about them. We tell them that they should have to wait for an uncertain and unknown amount of time because of spoiled children like him. Tell Genma that the Uchiha is disqualified, said Sarutobi, as he felt his old spirit come back, already knowing the council would blow a gasket and start to yell at him. But Sarutobi didn't care, and wasn't going to care what they said. The Jonin nodded to the Hokage and informed Genma to make the announcement that got many people in Konoha booing the decision. Will Kankuro no Sabaku and Shino Aburame please come down to get ready for the next fight, said Genma, as the crowd was finally coming back to its senses, and wanted to see another fight. Proctor, I forfeit, said Kankuro, earning him boos from the crowd and the cold blue eyes that narrowed in on the puppet user. Okay, Kankuro no Sabaku forfeits, so Shino Aburame is the victor of this match. Will Tamari no Subaku and Shikamaru Nara step forward for their match, said Genma, as he saw Tamari fly down on her fan, and she looked ready to bash her opponent's skull in. Troublesome. Maybe I should forfeit too since I'm fighting a girl again, said the lazy Shikamaru, only to be sent over the edge of the railing by Naruto, who heard him and summoned a chakra chain to wrap around Shikamaru and place him in the arena. Those who saw the chain had memories of a red-haired kunoichi. Damn you Naruto, you're so troublesome, said Shikamaru. Same as canon. Winner. Tamari no Sabaku by forfeit, said Genma, shaking his head. The next match will be Gaara no Sabaku fighting Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Will both fighters please come down for your match, said Genma, as Gaara appeared in a swirl of sand, and Naruto gave Anko the rest of the dango and appeared 15 feet away from him. Genma was about to start the match when a wind blew into the stadium to reveal Sasuke Uchiha and his teacher Kakashi Hitaki right behind him. I'm sorry, we're not late for Sasuke's match, are we? Said Kakashi, as his one eye formed into a U-shape, and many in the stands were sweat dropping at the man. Actually, you're very late, Kakashi. The Hokage disqualified Sasuke and we're now into the semifinals, said Genma, seeing the other Jonin's shocked look, and Sasuke seethed in rage from the news. What? Who is Gaara fighting? I'll just take that place, said Sasuke, as he saw Gaara standing in front of Naruto. Move Dobi, this is my fight, Sasuke said, standing next to Naruto. Leave, Sasuke. This is not your fight, I won't say it again, said Naruto calmly, turning to the side slightly. You leave, loser. I'm an Uchiha. You're nothing but some pebble on my road. Bam! Sasuke never got the chance to finish as he was punched in the face, sent barreling into a wall. Let's see how he likes it when he's incapable of getting the third tomo, let alone a Mangekyo, Naruto thought as Kakashi appeared in front of him. How dare you attack the last? Kakashi and everyone else on the arena floor were sent plummeting into the ground as Naruto's spirit pressure flooded the area. I have very little patience for you, hypocrite. Leave now, Naruto said, glaring before he lightened upon the pressure. He didn't notice Gaara use a force sleep technique on himself. Kakashi gulped and took Sasuke off the field so the fight could start. Are both fighters ready, Hajime? Said Genma before getting far away from the two, knowing they were about to do serious damage to the other. Before Naruto could move, Gaara started clutching his head and was grunting in pain before he opened his eyes, and they were now the Shukaku's eyes. You're very strong, I want your blood. In a burst of golden-brown chakra, Shukaku in full form appeared with Gaara's body hanging limply from the demon's forehead. Shit! Thought Naruto before he vanished from the arena floor and appeared under Shukaku's chin. He launched a punch which connected and snapped Shukaku head back. Naruto was about to continue when wind release. Air bullet. The blast of air hit him, sent him crashing into the stands. Yes, I killed him, I am the strongest there is. Ha ha ha, screamed Shukaku. Everyone continued to look at Shukaku laugh about killing Naruto. They were about to charge when damn, that actually stung a bit. A voice said. They turned to see Naruto walking out of the hole he made with his shirt destroyed. He came to a stop at the balcony. He want to play with the big boys. Huh, fine, let's see how long he lasts, Naruto thought before he looked around him. I'd advise you all step away from me, Naruto said. Everyone moved away except for Team 7, believing that Naruto had nothing under his sleeve. Naruto concentrated, and he proceeded to transform into a Super Saiyan. Think Goku versus Fat Android. The shockwave sent Team 7 tumbling, while everyone else looked at the new red-haired Naruto. And Shukaku's memory of the time he was the Jubi was telling him what the boy he was fighting was. Impossible, Shukaku yelled, getting everyone's attention. You're a descendant of those two. He yelled in fear. So you know what I am? Asked Naruto smirking. Saiyan, shouted Shukaku. What's a Saiyan, and why is Shukaku so afraid of it? Thought everyone. You have two choices: Shukaku, fight and die, or go back into your vessel. Shukaku didn't waste any time as he returned to Gaara's body. Winner of the Chunin exam semifinals, Naru, said Genma, but was interrupted as an explosion occurred from the cage booth signaling the invasion has started. Naruto looked up at the purple barrier that sealed off 3 cage-level shinobi from everyone else. Naruto was about to make his way to the barrier when his name was called. Naruto, he turned to see the Jonin senseis looking at him. What? I need to help the old man, said Naruto. Go help with damage control, have faith in Hokage-sama and Jiraiya-sama, said Asuma while Naruto's eyes widened then narrowed. Have faith? We're talking about a 69-year-old man, who's done nothing but sit in his office, doing paperwork, and reading porn for the past 15 years. Naruto said while some of the Jonins looked thoughtful. Jiraiya of the Sannin may be up there as well, but I can guarantee that it won't be enough. But fine, you go help, because if they don't get help up there we won't have either a kage or a toad Sannin. Naruto finished as he extended his arm out and in a swirl of black and red spirit energy Tensa Masamugetsu appeared and he vanished in a sonito. What was that technique? I couldn't track his movements, thought Kakashi. I'll have him teach me and Sasuke that jutsu. Before he lifted his Hitate Tae from his eye. What happened to Naruto? Thought the other senseis. What do we do? Asked Kurenai curiously. Naruto is just joking. Hokage-sama will pull out of this alive, trust me. Kakashi said with an eye smile before they shunshined away while Kurenai looked at the barrier. I have a bad feeling about this. Kurenai whispered before she joined her comrades. With Naruto. Naruto was currently making his way to the daimyo's booth, killing all in his way. Why hasn't anyone made their way up to the daimyo's room? I mean, yeah, he has samurais around, but they could at least come to help out, thought Naruto before he rounded the corner and saw the door was destroyed, and the dead bodies of samurais, and some Auto Jonins were scattered around. Sniffing around to get a scent. They must already be outside of the village, thought Naruto before he vanished in a shunpo. With the fire daimyo. The fire daimyo was being led to some location with at least 10 Jonin-level shinobi around him. He was hoping some leaf nin will come rescue him before he was too far from the village. He was currently thinking about his surrogate sister's son. They better come help me, and just when I find out that Minato's and Kushinane's son has been alive all this time. I'm sure he and Tsunade Dono would want to know that they both own the land Konoha is built on. Thanks to their clan heritage, man, and the money has been piling up too. They're stinking rich even by daimyo standards, and I'm sure if Tsunade Dono will just come back to the village, she would be able to pay her debts easily. He thought unconcerned that he might die today. The walk was done in silence when all of a sudden a black and red blur appeared and took the fire daimyo from his captors, leaving an afterimage behind. Naruto appeared with the daimyo behind a tree. Stay here, daimyo-sama, I'll deal with the trash. Naruto said before he vanished in a burst of speed, leaving 2 shadow clones with the daimyo. With Auto Shinobi, they were looking around for the daimyo who just phased out of existence a second ago. Yoshi Taicho, Orochimaru-sama will be very upset if we don't get to the rendezvous point without the daimyo. Said a shinobi. When the caption didn't respond, he placed his hand on his shoulder and the head fell off, shocking him completely. He turned to his comrades only to find them dead as well. Guys. He looked around to see the enemy but couldn't find him. He heard breathing behind him. Turning around, he came face to face with a white fox mask with red lines descending from the eye holes. The eyes were all black with golden fox-like slits for pupils. He tried to scream when the figure's hand shot out and grabbed him by the lower part of his face, and the hand started lighting up and a flash of black was all he knew. The last thing he heard was a demonic voice saying, "Sero." With a swipe of a hand, the mask turned into black with a red outline and dispersed in the air, allowing the fire daimyo who was watching with the clones to see Naruto looking into the sky. Makoto-chan will be summoned to this plane, which means Hiruzen will have to use the Shikifuin, if Edo Tensei was used. If the chakra signatures I'm sensing are correct, Naruto thought before he turned to the fire daimyo. Daimyo-sama, those clones will protect you until this invasion is done with, they will take you somewhere safe," said Naruto while the daimyo nodded, still in shock of the technique he had just witnessed while Naruto put on his hollow mask and vanished. Earlier, up in the cage's box, Sarutobi met the eyes of the cage. In a split instant the Wind Shadow's guards acted by igniting a smoke grenade while tossing 2 kunai into the flak vest of the Hokage's Jonin guard. As the man slumped against the wall he pleaded that his leader get away while he could. Reacting before Hiruzen, the cage dashed over and looped an arm around Sarutobi's neck before jumping straight up to the roof of the structure. "Sarutobi-sensei?" Jiraiya asked with a shocked expression as he shunshined to the box and jumped to the roof with some Anbu operatives. "I'm afraid to say that this is not the cage but in fact my ex-student, your ex-teammate. Isn't that right, Orochimaru?" Sarutobi said with calm anger as he glanced at his once favorite pupil who was in the process of pulling away his mask. "Why Sarutobi-sensei, I'm hurt that you would refer to me in such a way. Don't I still mean something to you? Now," Orochimaru said with that infuriating smile of his as he ordered his people to do something further. Hearing the order and getting ready to fend off whatever the Habi-sanin had prepared, the only warning Jiraiya and the Anbu got was the thud of a kunai hitting the ground. Jiraiya reacted the quickest and jumped when his instincts told him to. Luckily he listened as the kunai exploded from nowhere and all the Anbu still standing there burst into flames. "You're not getting out of here alive, Habi-teme," said Jiraiya while glaring at Orochimaru. "Whatever you say, Dobi. Now then, shall we begin with the festivities, my dear old teammate and ex-sensei?" "Do it," Orochimaru asked mockingly before he ordered his people to do something else. From the 2 bodies of the former guard for the fake cage burst 4 people who each took a corner of the roof. Each of them wore attire marking them as nin from Otto, but that was where the similarities ended. "All right, time to do some damage. I'm Sakin of the West Gate," a voice said, belonging to a boy with bluish-gray hair with long bangs that covered one eye. He wore turquoise lipstick and brown eyeliner, which made his appearance more feminine. This shall be interesting. I am Kidomaru of the East Gate. A boy with 6 arms and an auto hitate Tae said with a smirk. Today's the end for you Konoha shit stains. I'm Tayuya of the North Gate. The voice of the only female of the group rang out. It belonged to a tomboyish red head that wore a hat made entirely of bandages. Tayuya, women shouldn't swear like that. I am Jirobo of the South Gate. A large kid with an reddish-orange mohawk and a sleeveless gray shirt. Enough chatter, perform the jutsu. Orochimaru said with a hint of annoyance in his voice. Everyone on the roof could only watch as the 4 teens each made the hand sign for tiger and then held it out in front of them while building chakra. 4 violet flames battle encampment, the 4 teens shouted. A purple-colored barrier sprang up on the roof just as another squad of Anbu arrived to aid their Hokage. One of the black-cloaked ones jumped towards the barrier thinking nothing of what effects might be on it. Instantly the moment the masked shinobi touched it, he burst into flames, prompting the other 3 to stand down for the moment as they assessed the situation. "Hold it. It looks like anything we try against that could only lead in our demise. For now we have to trust our leader and Jiraiya-sama to hold their own until they can manage to take down the barrier from the inside." The Anbu captain explained from just a glance at what the seal just did to one of his subordinates. "Ha, good luck with that, you shitheads. The old man and the perv both have a better chance of just rolling over and croaking right now," Tayuya said with a taunting smile to the Anbu as she and the rest of the Sound 4 erected a second barrier inside the first to protect them from harm. Inside the barrier, Orochimaru and Sarutobi leapt away from each other and just stared off while they removed the robes they were wearing. They each wore their signature look. For Orochimaru it was a look that was almost identical to his shinobi that were holding the barrier. Sarutobi on the other hand was wearing a black jumpsuit with gray shoulder armor, a gauntlet on his right arm, a leaf forehead protector bandana with long straps and a ninja helmet which he wears under it, and the kanji for Sandaime was inscribed on the back of this outfit, while Jiraiya cracked his knuckles. "So Sarutobi-sensei, Jiraiya, it seems that we can start getting reacquainted inside this barrier. This way you both can watch your precious village crumble to ash and be unable to stop it at all," Orochimaru said with a devious smile. "This is bad, I can't take Jiraiya and Sarutobi-sensei together," he thought before an idea came to his head. Spare us your theatrics Orochimaru, your ambition will fail and Konoha will stand tall against your threat. Hiruzen said as he took a ready stance. Poor fools, you both are all by yourselves in here with a god. What could you possibly hope to accomplish? Orochimaru asked as he crossed his arms in a relaxed pose only to cry out in pain a moment later from a kunai cutting his cheek before looking to Jiraiya who was beside Sarutobi who was smirking with his arm outstretched showing he threw the kunai. If you're bleeding, then you're no god, just a gay pedophile with a god complex, Jiraiya said smirking before he got into a ready stance of his own. I appreciate the help Jiraiya, but we both know I won't survive this encounter with Orochimaru. We're going to do what we should have done all those years ago. Sarutobi said as with a heavy heart he resigned himself to truly fighting his favorite student. I know old man, but I'll try to keep you alive through this fight. Jiraiya said determinedly while Sarutobi grew a soft smile. I originally didn't plan you being here Jiraiya, but I'm glad you are. It'll just make my victory all the sweeter when I watch the light leave both your bodies. Orochimaru said as he stared down both his opponents with a confident smirk. To everyone in the booth watching, they could feel the tremendous amount of chakra being built up by all three fighters as they waited for the other to make a move. The Anbu operatives were kneeling in awe at the raw power of a truly cage-level battle that was about to begin. Wasting no time student and sensei leapt at each other with Jiraiya prepping a just you of his own to use. Orochimaru and Sarutobi both flew through hand signs at a rapid pace. Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. Sarutobi threw a shuriken that multiplied until an entire wall of the projectiles were flying at Orochimaru. Summoning. Impure World Resurrection. Orochimaru slammed his hands onto the roof and his jutsu took hold immediately as a large wooden coffin started to arise. As the second coffin was arising Sarutobi's shuriken slammed into both with great force but, it looked as if his attack did nothing to halt the jutsu. Jiraiya, quickly we must stop the third coffin from rising. Sarutobi said as he performed the counter signs to the jutsu and flared his chakra. Jiraiya blurred through hand signs as he jumped next to Sarutobi and barely managing to stop the third coffin with the earth jutsu. However before he could make another move Orochimaru is already on the move as he leapt towards them with his hands already in the seal for his jutsu. Shadow Snake Hand. As the snakes emerged from his sleeves, Orochimaru didn't care if his opponents dodged or blocked the attack. The real battle was just getting started. It would seem we could not stop the first two coffins from arising. Sarutobi said with regret and disappointment in his voice as the coffin lids started to open. Yes, but who did he summon? Jiraiya asked as he inwardly cursed himself. I believe you will truly find my present to your liking sensei and an honor for you as well Dobi. Orochimaru said with a twisted grin as the lids crumbled to the ground revealing two people easily recognizable to Sarutobi. Before him stood two men he respected and admired above all others in his life save a few, the Shodem Hokage Hashirama Senju still adorned with his red samurai armor and headband, and the Naidame Hokage and brother to the Shodem Tobirama Senju also wearing his blue armor and a head protector. Hiruzen, is that you? You've gotten quite old? Hashirama said as they both walked out of the coffins with shaky steps. Well brother, Naruto-chan did call him old man, Tobirama said while Jiraiya's Sarutobi's and Orochimaru's eyes widened at the name. Why you know Naruto-kun? Sarutobi asked shocked, but how is that possible? Sorry, that's on a need-to-know basis. Hashirama said. Just what the hell did Naruto do during the break? Jiraiya thought to himself. Well let's resume this battle, and get your deaths underway. Orochimaru said stepping forward with two kunais in his hand with red seal tags on the end. With calm assurance he placed a seal kunai in each summoned past Hokage's heads before stepping back to watch as they came fully to life. Inwardly still thinking about how the Sho and Naidame Hokages knew the Kyuubi brat. In a matter of seconds, both men looked as young as the day they each passed from the mortal plane, while everyone else watched on as tears appeared in Hiruzen's eyes. Soon enough they were both fit for combat and got right into it by slowly walking forward. Without much warning Hashirama ran straight forward while Tobirama hopped up on the second roof as he ran at the same pace. Sarutobi dodged a few kunai that were thrown ahead of Hashirama, who demonstrated his mastery of taijutsu by attacking with powerful kicks which Sarutobi deflected before knocking his predecessor away just as Orochimaru appeared with Kusanagi already in mid-swing. Using his natural agility gained from training with the monkey contract, Sarutobi weaved around each swing before catching Orochimaru on a backswing and breaking his arm at the joint before throwing the snake-themed man away as Tobirama flipped over him and lunged forward from the moment he landed. Jiraiya intercepted the Nidaime and the two white-haired shinobi engaged in a fierce taijutsu exchange. Tobirama caught a fast left from Jiraiya before throwing a punch of his own that he ducked under and struck him with a chakra-powered uppercut to the chin followed by a Rasengan to the chest, blowing the man away. Tobirama recovered pretty quickly and the wound healed before he rushed Jiraiya and sent a punch to Jiraiya's face which he parried. Then he clutched his arm, stepped inside his guard and kicked Tobirama in the gut hard and sent him flying. Tobirama landed near his brother and Orochimaru as Sarutobi ran through hand signs. Fire style. Dragon flame bullet. Sarutobi breathed in deeply and filled his lungs with Chakra mixed air and expelled a large stream of fire at his three opponents, pushing a little more chakra into the jutsu to superheat his attack, which barreled at the two Senju brothers and Snake Sanin. Just as it looked as if the technique would finish them off, Tobirama went through hand signs of his own. Water release. Water encampment wall. Spitting out a large amount of water, Tobirama quickly formed the water into a wall as the fire jutsu collided with its surface only to extinguish due to elemental advantage going to water. Then he performed more seals just as his first jutsu died down. Water release. Water shockwave. This jutsu caused a pillar to water to just appear around them before exploding and rushing forward at Sarutobi, who saw this and ran through another set of seals of his own. Earth release. Earth wall. Gathering chakra in his body again, Hiruzen spit out a stream of mud just in front of him that instantly sprang up and became a hardened wall of earth. The water jutsu slammed into the wall and was directed to either side. Jiraiya wasted no time running up the earthen wall to the top, where he flew through a set of seals while her chakras surged for the jutsu. Fire release. Flame dragon technique. Manipulating his chakra, Jiraiya took a deep breath and unleashed a large fire dragon as it flew up before barreling down towards the three fighters. The fire dragon opened its maw right as it was on top of the two cages. Of course they dodged the attack, but Jiraiya just decided to send the jutsu Orochimaru's way as Sarutobi ran through hand signs for Earth release. Earth flow river, which caused the ground beneath his student's feet to become a river of mud that threw him off balance as the fire dragon clamped its maw around him and drove towards the wall of the barrier. As the two cages were regrouping from Jiraiya's attack, Hiruzen performed another round of hand signs as he ran up his earth wall. When he reached the top, Hiruzen stomped top of the wall as he held the hand sign for dragon. Earth release. Earth dragon. From the side of the earth wall, sprouted a massive earth dragon that opened its mouth wide and began to fire highly concentrated globs of mud. Jiraiya, seeing this, decided to use another fire jutsu. He spat out an orb of fire with great accuracy to increase the potency of Sarutobi's attack. The now flame-covered earth dragon hit both cages head-on as it caused Hashirama to be slammed into the barrier where he burned alive, Tobirama to lose his right arm and left leg. "I see you still have some fight in you, sensei," said Jiraiya, not dropping his guard while scanning their teamwork against three opponents completely their equals. "Yeah, although age is catching up to me," Sarutobi groaned in old age as he quickly popped a soldier pill to regain some of his lost chakra. They both watched as the dead cages reformed right before their eyes, and Orochimaru slowly rise from the ground with a look of fury on his face. "Enough playing around, kill them now," Orochimaru snarled as Tobirama raced forward while Hiroshima performed hand signs. "Time to get back into the battle again," Sarutobi said as he went through hand signs of his own while Jiraiya ran forward to meet Tobirama. To those watching outside the barrier, both the Anbu squad and the Jonin senseis were truly impressed with such a battle they were witnessing. As they witnessed the power Sarutobi Hiruzen still held at his fingertips despite his age, as he matched his old senseis, pound for pound, alongside Jiraiya, who was truly showing why he was a Sannin. The battle between five shinobi had reached an agitated state, as Hashirama used his wood release secret technique, Nativity of a World of Trees, to alter the battle site by causing a rapid growth of large tree roots around Sarutobi's earth wall. While he laid pinned by the trees, Sarutobi managed to complete his jutsu to summon Monkey King Enma to his side. After exchanging a few blows with the two summoned fighters, he transformed into the legendary adamantine staff and freed Sarutobi before he went on the offensive against Orochimaru, who spit up the Kusanagi again. The entire time he faced off with Orochimaru and Hashirama on occasion, Sarutobi was thankful that Jiraiya was inside that barrier at his aid, as he kept Hashirama and Tobirama at bay enough. The battle seemed to be even enough until Tobirama cast the Genjutsu, Bringer of Darkness technique, over both Sarutobi and Jiraiya's sight. They managed to dispel the jutsu by hitting Tobirama, but the damage had been done. Both of them received numerous blows which took their toll as their enemies never tired. Jiraiya and Sarutobi were on their last legs, having been battling for an hour and a half, which in the shinobi world was a feat in itself. Sarutobi was midway through the seal sequence for the Shikifuin, when the sound of thunder caught everyone's attention, even those fighting all over the village, as the sky began to darken with black storm clouds and red lightning. Those of the Leaf got ready to fight in case this was another player in Orochimaru's forces, while Orochimaru himself was wondering what Konoha had hidden to oppose him. Those on the cage booth were especially curious as a black and red wolf made of energy struck the barrier's ceiling and broke through. When it touched the ground, the wolf kicked up dust from its power. Everyone inside that barrier were on edge, none more so than Orochimaru. He was questioning what could have the ability to pierce his barrier when even Konoha's finest themselves couldn't even do so. The answer came in the form of Naruto, who stood tall while taking in the area around, as his mask caused a shiver to run down everyone's spine while Tensa Masamugetsu on his side pulsed. He focused on the Sho and Nidaime Hokages, who he grew to see as older brothers during his time training. Damn, can't believe he would summon those two, Naruto thought before his mask faded away. While this was going on, Sarutobi took that as his chance to attack and used shadow clones to create two clones. Then he ran through a set of seals and clapped his hands at the end. Shikifuin, he whispered. Behind the original Sarutobi, a large pale white figure appeared. Its face was purple as well as demonic-looking in appearance. It had long spiky black hair and wore a robe of the same color that hid everything from view except its hands and head. In its largely fanged mouth sat a knife, and along its left arm sat prayer beads. This was a being of great power beyond mortal comprehension, for this was Makoto's shinigami form. As the shinigami settled behind Sarutobi, her new aura washed over the entire cage booth, causing everyone there to feel its effects. Or in Naruto's case, actually smile. My Naruto-kun, I'm impressed you managed to get past my seal barrier. Tell me, did you enjoy the gift I gave you back in the Forest of Death? Orochimaru said, greeting Naruto as he finally broke the silence after watching his sensei perform a jutsu, but wasn't worried. I've long since removed your little gift, and now I've come for your head, pedophile. Naruto said as he twirled his sword in his hand. Really? And just how do you think you will go about doing that? Orochimaru asked as he crossed his arms. Before Naruto could answer, Sarutobi burst into action as he raced towards his two mentors, and Orochimaru himself. His clones managed to catch his senseis by surprise while the original Sarutobi launched himself at his ex-student. Orochimaru tried to use the Kusanagi to defend himself, but Sarutobi would have none of that as he knocked the blade from the Sannin's grasp before grabbing Orochimaru by the shoulders. In that instant, the Shinigami plunged her hand through Sarutobi and entered Orochimaru and took hold of his soul. This move revealed the entity to the Snake Sannin, who was instantly surprised. Stay where you are, you'd only get in the way with that injury. Naruto told Jiraiya before he could attempt getting up and jumped to Sarutobi's aid. Over with Sarutobi, his clones managed to seal Hashirama and Tobirama into themselves in Makoto's belly. All that was left was Orochimaru himself as he was being held in place while his soul was being pulled out his stomach. Our time in this world has reached its end, my wayward student. Sarutobi said with a strain of concentration in his voice. Sorry sensei, but I have plans that don't involve death at the moment. You can take the trip yourself. Orochimaru replied with a smirk as he used his fingers to coax the Kusanagi from its place behind Sarutobi. The blade rattled for the first few tries until it lifted off the ground and raced towards Sarutobi's unguarded back. The Kusanagi would have struck true if it wasn't for Naruto, who caught it by the hilt. Soon after, the Kusanagi began to shake before it dispersed in a cloud of smoke. It seems that the Kusanagi doesn't appreciate you touching it, Naruto-kun. Then again, it is expected that only I could handle such a sword. Orochimaru said, speaking as if he wasn't on the verge of having his soul ripped from his body. Naruto just ignored him and turned his attention to Hiruzen. "How much chakra do you have left, old man?" Naruto said with an even tone. "Even with you blocking the Kusanagi, I still don't have enough strength to fully seal my wayward student with me in the Shinigami's belly. I'm sorry, I won't be around to watch you grow strong, my boy." Sarutobi admitted with a strained voice as the jutsu was sapping all his strength. However, he still managed to smile. "Sigh, you'll be with me in spirit," Naruto said as a tear streamed down his face as he placed a hand on Sarutobi's shoulder and gave him some chakra. "Always. Naruto, I just wanted to say that I'm sorry about the life you've lived," Hiruzen said while the spectators listened in. "You finally took down your mask and currently in the process of showing the world what you are made of. Minato and Kushina will be proud of you, I know I am," Sarutobi stated with a smile before turning back to his student. "This will be the end of your ambition, Orochimaru. I will take away what you prided in the most, your ability to harness ninjutsu. For your arms have now become forfeit. Shiki Fuin, Fuin," Sarutobi yelled as he pulled Orochimaru's soul arms free and held them taut as Makoto grasped her knife in hand and severed the arms, which caused an echo of pain in the air. The soul zoomed into Sarutobi with a finality as the seal for the Shiki Fuin appeared on his stomach where the cut soul entered. Orochimaru looked down in pain as his arms fell to his sides and slowly became lifeless and numb due to the jutsu. "My arms, old man, what have you done?" Orochimaru yelled, all composure forgotten in the face of losing the use of his arms, only to jump back due to experience rather than line of sight as he dodged the blade of Tensa Masamugetsu as it was wielded by Naruto, who tried to end the life of the Sannin right then. "Drop the barrier, we are pulling out, this invasion has failed." Orochimaru groaned in pain after speaking above his subordinates as they cried out for him. Dropping the barrier, the Sound Four rushed to their master's side. Tayuya and Jirobo each took an arm then started jumping across the roof while Sakin and Kidomaru covered their escape. The Anbu that were waiting for a chance to get into the action chased after the group of 5 with full intent on stopping them. Kidomaru turned in midair and fired a net made of spider webbing at them, ensnaring them instantly. Sarutobi watched his once beloved student flee the walls of Konoha. As he fell to his knees, he closed his eyes since Makoto pulled his soul out, completing the sealing. As more Anbu and some Jonin started to show up at the cage booth to assist, they found Naruto and Jiraiya looking down at Hiruzen Sarutobi's dead body. The Jonin senseis looked at Kakashi with narrowed eyes as they saw what Naruto predicted had come to pass. Naruto sighed and turned around to go retrieve the fire daimyo. "Naruto," he turned to see Jiraiya looking at him seriously, "where have you been for the past month?" "Clan secret," Naruto said before he vanished in a sonido, leaving behind an angry Sannin and Copy Nen while the others looked confused. A week later. It's been a week since the invasion and 2 days since Hiruzen's funeral. Naruto and Co. were in the council towers. The only damage done to the building was the entire roof was missing, showing the clear blue sky. Currently we find Naruto, the other rookies, and the Jonin senseis standing in front of the council, Fire Daimyo and Jiraiya, as they got prepared to see who was promoted. "Shikamaru Nara, you've been promoted, because you showed great strategy in your match. You are hereby granted the rank of Chunin," the Fire Daimyo said while Shikamaru muttered, "Troublesome." He accepted the Chunin flak jacket while his team and father smiled. Naruto looked around the room and saw the Uzumaki swirl on various pieces of clothing and scowled slightly, unnoticed by everyone. "Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, you showed that you can keep a clear head in a situation you've never been in. You came to resist me alone and had your clones protect me while you went back to help defend the village. I hereby grant you the rank of Special Jonin," the daimyo said while everyone was shocked and Sasuke glared in rage. Before the daimyo could continue, the civilian council shouted in protest. "Silence!" The daimyo shouted, "Naruto, the next person that speaks out of turn, kill them," the daimyo said while Naruto smirked sadistically. "Now then, as you are the last member of your clans, you are to have multiple wives, and you will have a seat on the shinobi council," the daimyo explained while Naruto nodded. "Daimyo-sama, will it be too much to ask that the Uzumaki swirl be removed from the wardrobe?" Naruto asked while everyone looked at him shocked. "Sure," the daimyo said, smirking. Sakuya Haruno, mother of Sakura Haruno, couldn't take it anymore and shrieked, "You can't do She didn't get the time to finish as the daimyo nodded to Naruto, who smirked and pointed at Sakuya, and she was pushed back before she floated in the air, struggling to reach the ground as Naruto lifted his hand and she flew into the sky. Naruto, stop it, she's my mother, Sakura pleaded while everyone looked on intrigued with what would happen. Your mother has just disobeyed the fire daimyo. As a resident of the fire country, it is my duty to complete his orders to the best of my abilities. Naruto said coldly before he turned to Sakura's mother, who was screaming. Everyone watched as he clenched his fist and Sakuya Haruno exploded in front of their eyes. No, Sakura screamed, crying, while the rookies looked shocked that Naruto would do something like that. Now then, Naruto, as per agreement with your father, you will be giving traveling rights as you have betrothals in other villages in hopes of them becoming future allies. The daimyo said. This time the entire civilian council exploded again. Before something the elders, clan heads, Jiraiya, daimyo, and Jonin senseis never thought they'll see again happened. Naruto took out a three-pronged kunai and threw it. As they multiplied and vanished in a black flash, he appeared back in the same spot before the civilian councilors' heads fell to the floor. There was only silence in the room before the rookies. Even Sasuke puked everywhere. Hirai-shin, Jiraiya whispered before the clan heads all thought back to what Naruto said before he ended his first match. Flash, what happened to you? You were nothing like this a month ago. Neji asked, trying to think of a strategy. Oh, I always been like this. You see, I've come across a very precious memory of the events of my birth which lead to the life I have lived, and my mask needed to go. What you see here is the real Naruto. I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, son of Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune, and if you don't like it you can suck my! Quote. Naruto yelled before he vanished in a burst of speed. Flash end. The clan heads had their own thoughts. Troublesome blondes, thought Shikaku before he placed his head down. Glad I've never treated him wrong, thought Choza before he unsealed a bag of chips. I hope Ino will stop treating him badly, or she would be in danger, thought Inoichi as he looked to his daughter. So Hinata finally did something right for a change, thought Hisashi, already scheming up ways to get Naruto to a Hyuga into Naruto's clan. My bugs are afraid of him. It would be logical to not anger him, thought Shibi as his insects buzzed. He's the ultimate alpha male. I wonder if he's interested in older women, thought Sume, shivering and looking at Naruto in lust, which he noticed and smirked slightly. Now Naruto, I want you and Jiraiya-san to go bring Tsunade Senju here to be the Godem Hokage. Also, when you return me, you and Tsunade are going to have a talk. The fire daimyo said, smirking. Next day, Naruto and Jiraiya were walking down a road side by side, while in the middle of a heated conversation. They had just left the village behind for the surrounding embrace of nature as they began to search for Tsunade. I told you that I was sorry, what more do you want? Jiraiya asked. If you want my trust you're going to have to work for it, Jiraiya-san, Naruto said while he walked along. Alright, from what I can tell you're very strong, even if I don't know how you got this strong in a month. Anyway, there is a group called Akatsuki that plan to capture all the Jinchuriki for their Biju. For what purpose I have no idea, so be on the lookout, said Jiraiya seriously. Sometime later Naruto was walking up the main street of a town with Jiraiya. We should begin the search for Tsunade, Naruto advised as he continued up the road. I agree, we should find a hotel for the time being, Jiraiya said before he was cut off by a feminine voice. Excuse me, but I was wondering if either of you could help me? Both Jiraiya and Naruto turned to the left to see a very beautiful woman in a short one-piece dress that pushed up her ample chest. She had long flowing black hair that rested just above her and wore a pair of high-heel sandals with some makeup to accentuate her features. All this was of course too much for Jiraiya as he rushed to the unknown woman's side. Naruto, why don't you go find us a hotel to stay in while I help this young woman with her problem? Jiraiya said with a smile as the woman laced her arms around Jiraiya's right bicep. Naruto said nothing as shook his head and took Jiraiya's travel pack from him and watched as Jiraiya went off with the woman, all the while giggling lecherously. When the perverted hermit was out of sight, Naruto knew that he was being watched but didn't act on it just yet as he decided to have his pursuers reveal themselves in time. So he just set out to find a hotel to stay in for the time being. The moment Naruto disappeared from general view, two mysterious figures appeared onto a nearby building. You sure he's here somewhere? A large gruff voice asked with a hint of glee in it. Yes, I'm sure. Besides, our informant in Konoha said as much, that they headed in this direction, so this is our best bet for the moment. Let's go. A softer voice answered while they both scanned the streets below before disappearing via Shunshin. Unknown location. Orochimaru was sitting alone in a dark room with 2 candles for illumination as he focused on keeping himself from crying out in pain again, as the effects of Sarutobi's jutsu was taking its toll on his now useless arms once more. The pain has become unbearable. Damn you to hell, Sarutobi-sensei. Damn you and that jutsu of yours. And Naruto-kun, you shall pay for stopping my plan to crush the leaf and then rebuild it in my image. Orochimaru was cut off from further thoughts by Kabuto entering the room with a small smile on his face. Orochimaru-sama, how are you feeling this day? Kabuto asked, but only received a harsh glare for his efforts. Don't patronize me, Kabuto. The pain in my arms has returned with double the intensity. Orochimaru all but growled at his second-in-command while he once again tried to move his lifeless fingers again. That's because you've stopped taking the medicine I've been preparing for you. Kabuto pointed out as he poured a fresh cup of the mixture that would bring temporary relief before standing at his master's side. The problem isn't the medicine, but the type of medicine I've been getting, Orochimaru replied simply as a sinister smile slowly began to form on his face. What do you mean, Orochimaru-sama? Kabuto asked as he helped his master take the medicine, which caused the pedophile to grimace at its taste before continuing, although he kept the veiled anger out of his voice at basically being told that his healing methods weren't good enough. What I mean is that I know of a way to get my arms working again. We seek out my old teammate Tsunade Senju. She's known as the mistress of modern medicine as we know it in the shinobi world today. If anyone can fix my arms, it's her. Kabuto leave me and uses our contacts to locate Tsunade's whereabouts. Orochimaru said as he drank a glass of water. As you request, Orochimaru-sama. Kabuto said with a bow before he walked out the room to perform his given task. Soon I shall have my arms back and will crush the leaf for all time. Kukakukuku. Orochimaru thought as a snake slithered into his lap while he licked his lips in anticipation of what was to come soon enough. With Naruto. It's been an hour since Naruto and Jiraiya separated, and Naruto decided to look for the perv. The moment Naruto entered the club, the women saw him, they swooned and dumped the Sannin right there and then. They all hugged Naruto, who blushed as they started kissing him. It was a club where the women didn't kiss unless they wanted to. Jiraiya always went to these clubs and they never kissed and humped him. Naruto-kun, here is our number, you can call us anytime, and we mean anytime, said the girls. Naruto just smiled a bit and accepted the numbers, and that was it for the Sannin, who fumed. Why, thank you ladies, Naruto said, smiling. Naruto. Jiraiya growled as he left. An hour later Naruto found him. As they walked, Naruto accidentally bumped into someone who almost stumbled and fell, but Naruto grabbed her. Sorry, Naruto said to a raven-haired beautiful woman, making Jiraiya go in pervert mode. Haughty alert. Jiraiya drooled. The woman looked up at Naruto and blushed. No, it's alright. Naruto smiled. Something's not right about this girl. The woman just blushed dreamily, which caused Jiraiya scowled. Damn that brat. The Sannin could not let Naruto take the spotlight again. Before Naruto said anything, the Sannin got some money out of his wallet and pushed it on Naruto's chest. Naruto, here is the money, go have fun. That's the second woman he's ditched me for, idiot. Naruto thought as he headed back to the hotel. With Naruto. Naruto sighed as he sat down on his bed. Jiraiya looked like he wasn't even trying to find his Su-chan. I should have went by myself. Laying down on a bed, Naruto sighed. Naruto suddenly smiled. Sarutobi Hiruzen died and he wasn't there for his funeral. In fact, he didn't care all that much with all the lies and secrets, he just had to keep up appearances. Naruto grew bored as he started thinking of a trip he took during his training. Flashback. In the center of a large seal, stood an old white-haired man. He wore a white coat with violet swirl on the back, accompanied by 9 tomos. Surrounding him was a much younger version of the Bijus. I will not live long anymore. Shukaku, Matabi, Isobu, Son Goku, Kakuo, Seiken, Chomei, Yuki, Kurama. Even if you are separated now, you will always be together, and the day you will return to be one will. He stopped and looked at his creations. Every one of you has a name, a different form from before, differently from when you were all sealed within me. Follow your rightful path. Search for what true strength is, Until that day, he continued, Kurama and few other began to tear up. Before a flash of light in the sky caught their attention. When the light died down, something fell to the ground kicking up dust. When the dust faded, standing there was Naruto, who was shaking his head mumbling. Damn Kami, she did that on purpose. He grumbled as he looked up. He saw the Biju and the Rikudo Sennin looking at him. Hey old man, Naruto waved while the Biju crouched down to protect their father in case something happens. Hello who are you? The Rikudo Sennin asked curiously. Well, I'm your descendant Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto introduced himself as his eyes bleed into his Rinnegan while everyone's eyes widen. How is that possible? He asked. Well, you might want to get comfortable. Long story. Naruto said as he sat down and proceeded to tell the Rikudo Sennin and the Biju what happens after he dies. The Rikudo Sennin grits his teeth as he hears what becomes of the world and his eldest son's actions, while the Biju glare at the ground hearing how they got sealed into humans to use as weapons. Why are you here then? Rikudo asked suddenly. I'm here for them, Naruto said seriously, pointing at the Biju while their eyes widen. What you just said? I know, but if I take them with me then they won't be able to be used as weapons. I'll take them back to my dimension as summoning animals. Naruto explained as their eyes sparkled in realization. But your forms will change except for Kurama's. This is up to you guys, Naruto said as a huge scroll appeared in front of him and he unraveled it, showing 9 squares on it. Place your hands on the square if you accept. The Biju turned to Rikudo, who looked at them and smiled. This is your decision. Choose wisely. I doubt you'll get another chance like this again. Rikudo advised as the Biju looked at each other and nodded their heads and walked up to the scroll. I Shukaku accept to be a member of this summoning contract. Shukaku said as he placed his paw on the first square and they watched as his form turned into that of a coyote. I Matabi accept to be a member of this summoning contract. Matabi said as she placed her paw on the second square and they watched as her form turned into that of a lioness. I Isobu accept to be a member of this summoning contract. Isobu said as he placed his paw on the third square and they watched as his form turned into that of a dragon. I Son Goku accept to be a member of this summoning contract. Said Son Goku as he placed his hand on the fourth square and they watched as his form went from monkey to gorilla. I Kakuo accept to be a member of this summoning contract. Kakuo said as he placed his hand on the fifth square and they watched as his form turned into that of a panther. I Seiken accept to be a member of this summoning contract. Seiken said as she placed her hand on the sixth square and they watched as her form changed into that of a tiger. I Chome accept to be a member of this summoning contract. Said Chome as she placed her paw on the seventh square and they watched as her form turned into that of a cheetah. I Gyuki accept to be a member of this summoning contract. Said Gyuki as he placed his paw on the eighth square and they watched as his form changed into that of a wolf. I Kurama accept to be a member of this summoning contract. Said Kurama as he placed his paw on the last square. Thanks, now time to train you guys, Naruto said as he started to explain what he will be teaching them. End flashback. He was brought out of his thought when a knock came at his door. Is that Jiraiya? Wondered Naruto as he stood up. The door knocked again and Naruto grunted, alright, I'm coming. As he peeped through the hole and saw them. He opened the door and sighed. I didn't expect you back so early. Naruto stopped as he saw that it wasn't Jiraiya. Inspecting them, he saw 2 people wearing black cloaks with red clouds. He saw a shorter man with red eyes and a bigger man with a shark face and a massive sword. Come with us, Naruto-kun, Itachi said in an emotionless voice. Meanwhile in Tanzaku-gai, a blonde woman tapped her foot impatiently on the ground as her companion looked at the castle. Come on, Shizune, let's go. Ah, Tanzaku Castle has such a fabulous view even from the ground, huh, Lady Tsunade? Shizune said. Tsunade glanced at the castle and said hastily, don't waste any more time, we must get out of here as soon as possible, Shizune. Can't we stay a bit longer? Don't you see all this beautiful scenery and it's for free? Said the black-haired woman in protest. Just then the castle suddenly started to crumble and the smoke cleared to reveal Orochimaru along with Kabuto beside him. Orochimaru gave Tsunade a smirk. I finally found you, Tsunade. The two jumped down from the summoned snake and Tsunade greeted them. It's been a while, Orochimaru. I have looked all over for you, replied Orochimaru. Now what do you want from me this time? I know you didn't come here to talk about the past. Tsunade said. Straight to the point as always still, eh? Very well, I have a small favor to ask of you, Tsunade. Orochimaru said. His hand looks like he decided to mess with Kushina's ghost and paid the price. Tsunade thought. Tsunade-sama, you should know by now what is wrong with Orochimaru-sama if it is you. We need your expertise, Tsunade-sama, said Kabuto. Tsunade made a hand to shoo them away. Why should I help the snake freak find another medical specialist like that other guy that I hear usually stitches you up? I don't do freelance work and I'm on vacation. By the way, who the hell are you? I am Kabuto and I am afraid that we can't do that. You are one of the Sannin and the most powerful of them all in terms of physical strength. Said Kabuto. What do you want? Said Tsunade. I want you to join me, Tsunade. So together, we can destroy the Leaf Village. Said Orochimaru. Why do I want to do that when my last precious person is there? Tsunade glared at him thinking about Naruto. Whoever she is not your real family. You lost your real family because of Konoha. Me, I lost the power to gain immortality because of that fool of a sensei. You lost two of your most beloved because of Konoha's actions. Hee. Those were certainly horrible ways to die. Orochimaru smirked. Tsunade-sama, don't listen to him, Shizune yelled. Calm down, Shizune humph. You haven't changed a bit, Orochimaru. You know who I am and you know that mentioning those two around me are taboo, remember? Don't kid with me. She lost her fake smile and pounded the wall behind her, making a huge crater as she said, I'll kill you, you bastard. Tsunade said, what monstrous strength. Kabuto thought. We didn't come here to fight, only to negotiate. Kabuto said. I already said it once, and I don't want anything to do with you. Now get out of my sight. Tsunade looked at him angrily. It is not like it is a one-way bargain. Let's make a deal. Kabuto tried to reason. I don't make deal with criminals. You 5 seconds to leave or I will kill you. 5, 4, 3. Tsunade said. Please calm down. Our offer is not probably as that bad, said Kabuto. 2, 1. Tsunade continued getting ready to fight. Orochimaru chose at that time to speak. I can bring back your brother and your lover back to life with the kinjutsu that I have developed. Tsunade's eyes widened but then went back to normal when she remembered. I'll get so strong you won't ever have to feel the pain of lose again, Tsunade-chan. That's my promise of a lifetime, Dad-deo. Naruto-kun, she thought with a small smile. 0, she said as she attacked both of them, but they dodged her fist, which left a crater where her fist hit. Don't you want to meet them again, Tsunade? Orochimaru asked, surprise. I said no, Tsunade said, as she punched the ground and the split into, forcing Orochimaru to dodge again. Don't be a fool, Orochimaru said. I rather be a fool than a traitor. Tsunade said. Fine, I leave for now, but I will be back again in 7 days and you will come with me whether you want to or not, the snake Sannin replied, as they both vanish. Let's go, Shizune, Tsunade said. With Naruto. Enlighten me as to why I would walk off with 2 S-ranked rogue nin such as Kisame Hoshigaki, former shinobi of Kirigakure and one of the former 7 swordsmen of the Mist, and what I can assume is his partner Itachi Uchiha, former shinobi of Konohagakure and an ex-Anbu captain. Naruto said calmly while still looking at the 2 uninvited guests. Looks like somebody did their homework, ne Itachi? Kisame joked while his hand was twitched to reach for the sword on his back. It's called reading a bingo book, you freak. And the fact that he was my mother's student, of course I know who he is, Naruto replied calmly as he narrowed his eyes at Itachi, who breath hitched when he heard that, while Kisame became bristled at his offhanded comment about his appearance. Easy, Kisame. Naruto-kun, I implore that it would be wise if you came with us right now. Itachi said as he held a hand in front of Kisame before turning his attention back on Naruto, who was pensive for the moment. Fine, give me a moment. Naruto said as he closed the door slowly. It was only their experience as shinobi that allowed Itachi and Kisame to jump out of the way as the door came flying at them as Naruto walked out into the large hallway. You are both fools if you think I'm going anywhere with you. Naruto said as he cracked his knuckles and Tensa Masamugetsu appeared in his hand. Heh, so he thinks he's got with a sword, okay. Itachi, let me take him. Kisame asked as he stepped forward while pulling his bandage-covered sword from his back. Very well, but be quick about it. We already wasted enough time with the other Jonin. Quickly incapacitate Naruto so he can go. Itachi said as he stepped back to allow his partner room to work. I can't see him with my Sharingan. How's that possible? He thought as a clash of steel rang through the large hallway. When he looked back he saw something he would forever remember. Naruto was holding Tensa Masamugetsu in front of him, holding back a struggling Kisame back from completing a downward slash at him with just one hand. Naruto sighed before pushing Kisame back, making the shark man skid a few feet away from him. After this Naruto appeared behind Kisame. The man went wide-eyed. Fast, he twirled around in time to block a slash at his back, but the ground beneath him shattered into a crater. This got a shocked looks from Itachi and he wondered how strong that attack was. What the hell is going on? Kisame thought before he let down his guard and jumped back in time. He looked at Naruto before charging at him at his top speeds. This left after images in the hallway. Naruto saw his increased in speed, and raised Tensa Masamugetsu in time to parry a slash from Kisame before he jumped into the air, dodging a decapitating slice from behind. He narrowed his eyes a little, seeing no movement from him before spinning around, knocking away Kisame's attempted slash upon his back. Naruto then took that chance to bring down Tensa Masamugetsu, hammering it down on Kisame's Samahata, making the man plummet to the ground. After this Naruto went headfirst before landing on the ground, creating yet another crater. He saw and looked at Kisame's prone form before it poofed into smoke. Kisame appeared behind him midway into attack. That's when Naruto appeared behind Kisame, making the man go wide-eyed. He's faster? That's when he felt something going down his left arm. He looked down to see a red long gash, and in that second blood spurted out. He widened his eyes like Itachi's of how he just did that. Gah! He grunted before he was on the receiving end of a kick, knocking him into a wall. He grunted once more and looked up to see Naruto's shoe coming to his face as he shunshined to Itachi in time as Naruto's kick put a hole in the wall. Both warriors returned to battle with the intent of hacking each other to pieces, but soon Kisame found himself receiving more cuts on his body than he ever did, and Itachi was about to step in and aid his partner. Two things occurred. First was the arrival of Jiraiya on the back of a toad named Gamma, with the woman from earlier slung over his shoulder unconscious. When Itachi inquired how Jiraiya found out about the genjutsu used on her, the Sannin replied that he saw through their ruse, as women never expressed such an open interest in him like that. The second occurrence was the arrival of Itachi's younger brother Sasuke, who claimed he was here to finally avenge their clan by killing Itachi. Like that would ever happen, idiot. Naruto snorted to himself about Sasuke as he and Kisame halted in their match to watch the two Uchiha brothers duke it out. Two Sharingans flared to life, one fully mature and one not, as Sasuke powered up his Chidori and ran at his brother at a turtle's pace, all the while screaming at the top of his lungs. Itachi, who had turned around to face his little brother, smacked away the jutsu as if it was nothing to him, which it was, and the lightning attack ended up exploding in the wall near an empty suite. When the dust cleared, it could be seen that Itachi had a firm grip on Sasuke's wrist, which he snapped instantly, and it caused the younger Uchiha to howl in pain before being punched down the hall to hit the wall before sliding to the ground in a slump. Brutal. Oh well, the runt should have known better. Now then, where were we? Kisame said as he lunged at Naruto, who once again was fighting the ex-Kiri Nin as they continued their dance of blades, with Kisame having a hard time. Jiraiya was at a loss at what he should do as he sat on the sidelines. He was watching as his estranged godson not only held his own against one of the infamous 7 swordsmen but was pushing the larger man back with ease. Then there was Itachi, who was beating the crap out of Sasuke with minimal effort on his end. Man, what in the hell has Kakashi been teaching this kid, or lack thereof? 'Cause he's getting his ass handed to him by Itachi. Jiraiya muttered as he watched Itachi pick Sasuke up from a slump after he viciously hit the young Uchiha in the gut with a simple punch. Itachi slammed Sasuke against the wall and began to berate his little brother for being weak before activating his Mangekyo Sharingan, and then using his Tsukuyomi for the second time today, with Kakashi being the first. Itachi then forced his brother to relive the systematic slaughter of their clansmen all over again, which caused Sasuke to let out blood-curdling screams at the event. This action prompted Jiraiya into action as he put the woman on his shoulders, propped up against the wall, before he began blurring through hand sings before kneeling down and slapping both palms against the ground. Summoning Toad Mouth Trap, Jiraiya shouted. A large plume of smoke emanated from where Jiraiya's hands were before large amounts of red fleshy substance began to cover the walls, floor, and ceiling of the floor they were all on. This maneuver did not go unnoticed by Kisame and Itachi, who glanced as the jutsu took effect. "I gotta say, kid, you've managed to last against so far, but it's time to end this scuffle of ours," Kisame said as he praised Naruto for standing equal to him during this fun time they were having. "Scuffle? Please, I'm whopping your ass," Naruto said as Kisame growled, "but I agree, let's end this, but I regret to inform you this won't end the way you envision," Naruto replied as he angled the tip of Tensa Masamugetsu towards Kisame's head. Before the shark-themed man could think as to what Naruto meant, Kisame's entire face became a bloody mess as Naruto fired 20 successful punches so fast that it looked like one was fired to the ex-Kiri shinobi's face. As Kisame stumbled backwards and grasped his face from the sudden attack, it was all the time Naruto needed to shunpo forward with his free right hand already in motion. A wet squelching reached everyone's ears, well, all except Sasuke, who was unconscious from the mental torture, but he wouldn't count anyway. Jiraiya and Itachi looked to where the sound originated from, even Kisame looked down to the sound, and all three men were completely shocked at what they saw, for there on the ground in a growing pool of blood lay Kisame's entire left arm. Looking up further, they all could see Naruto in a crouch with his now clawed hand now dripping fresh blood that wasn't his own. Finally, the shock of it all registered to Kisame, who by now had placed Samahata on his back to grip his still bleeding socket where his arm used to be. "Nice, Naruto, I'll take it from here now," Jiraiya said as he snapped from his stupor to command the inner toad stomach to do his bidding in capturing Itachi and Kisame. "Kisame, time to go, now," Itachi said while expressing urgency as much as he could with such a calm voice as tentacles from the stomach raced forward to attack as Itachi and Kisame unstuck themselves and took off. A huge explosion reached Jiraiya's and Naruto's ears that had them racing up the hallway. Turning the hallway, they saw a hole in the wall with Kisame and Itachi fleeing. "You all right?" Jiraiya asked Naruto as they approached the hole. "Yes, but I'd be more concerned with that hole at the end of the hall," Naruto pointed out as he made his way to the hole with Jiraiya at his side the entire way. When they got there, they were both witness to a rare sight. There was black flames burning strong in a ring around the hole with no signs of stopping anytime soon. "To think they were able to break through this, just you?" Jiraiya mused as he approached the flames and began studying them. "So he used Amaterasu, huh?" Naruto thought as he watched as Jiraiya sealed the flames using the fire sealing method. Jiraiya and Naruto watched in reflective silence as the chakra used for the sealing rose from the scroll and encircled the hole while covering the flames before pulling them inside the scroll at a moderate pace. When the sealing was complete, the kanji for fire appeared in the center of the array before Jiraiya scooped up the scroll and storing it on his person before he and his godson turned to the broken Sasuke. As the flesh on the walls let Sasuke down, Jiraiya found himself kicked in the nose. Couple minutes later, Jiraiya was furious as he stuffed some tissue in his nose to stem the nosebleed. Thanks to Guy, the eccentric Jonin had leapt through the hold made by Itachi and Kisame while crying dynamic entry as he performed a flying kick. After a few minutes of clearing the air, Guy was apologizing profusely as he hoisted the unconscious form of Sasuke onto his back. "Look, it's alright. Just get Sasuke back to Konoha as fast as you can. He needs to be looked over for mental damage from a powerful genjutsu," Jiraiya instructed to the Jonin. "Of course, Jiraiya-sama, but that comment makes me wonder if it was the same genjutsu that struck Kakashi down." Guy pondered. "So Kakashi was attacked as well?" Jiraiya inquired before Guy recounted the battle that took place in Konoha before he showed up here. "I see. Well, that just means we definitely need to succeed in our mission to locate Tsunade," Jiraiya said as he looked at Naruto, who nodded. "You're going to find Tsunade Heim. Yosh, this is such a great day. I will hurry back to Konoha before the sun sets. If I can't do that, I shall run 500 laps around Konoha. If I can't do that, then..." Guy started with a crazed look in his eyes before Jiraiya stopped him. Guy, just go." Jiraiya sighed, exasperated, while pointing to the hole in the wall. "Hi, Jiraiya-sama." Guy saluted before running off and jumping out of sight through the hole in the wall. "See, now that's respect, Naruto. You could learn from his example," Jiraiya said as he pointed out Guy's devotion to the shinobi ranking system. "Please, he's obviously an idiot or on drugs. Let's pay for the damages and just get going, and we're using your wallet." Naruto said as he went to grab their bags while Jiraiya cried at the amount of money he would need to cover the damages. 3 days later. It's been 3 days since Naruto's and Jiraiya's run-in with Akatsuki. They used this time to talk about Jiraiya's absence in Naruto's life. Currently they were walking through a small town with Jiraiya grumbling over the fact that every woman he tried to talk to dropped him the minute they saw Naruto. "Oh, stop pouting, old man," Naruto said. "It's not fair. How do you do it?" Jiraiya asked. "Don't know really," Naruto shrugged before getting serious. "You sure this is the correct town where Tsunade is?" Naruto asked. "Of course I'm sure. Now then, what do you say to getting some food? We have been traveling non-stop for the last 3 days." Jiraiya suggested as he led the way to a nearby restaurant that was open this morning. "Nah, I'm not hungry. I'm going to walk around for a while," Naruto said as he walked off. As Naruto walked around he started to remember the first time he met Tsunade. Flashback. A 7-year-old Naruto was walking through a forest toward a town after sneaking out of the village when the Sandame went on his political trip to Suna. "The old man must be crazy if he thinks I'm going to stay in a village with people that will try to kill me and all the ninja who actually protects me are out of the village," Naruto thought as he walked into a town. "Kinda hungry," Naruto muttered as he walked into a dango stand and used the last of his money to buy him something to eat. As he was eating he got the feeling that he was being watched. He looked up to see 2 women sitting together. First was a blonde with her long hair in 2 ponytails tied with purple hairbands. The woman wore a gray, kimono-style blouse with no sleeves, held closed by a broad, dark bluish-gray obi that matches her pants. Her blouse was closed quite low, revealing her sizable cleavage. She wore open-toed sandals with high heels. The blonde's companion was a woman with shoulder-length black hair with bangs and dark eyes. She wore a long bluish-black kimono with white trimmings, held closed by a white obi, and open-toed sandals with low heels. It gave her an simple but beautiful look. He saw they were both looking at him while the blonde one had a shocked look on her face. He watched as the blonde got up and walked to his seat and sat down. "Hello pretty lady. My name's Naruto Uzumaki. What's your?" Naruto asked, sticking his hand out trying to make a frown while the blonde woman had tears in her eyes and trembling she picked him up and sat him in her lap sniffling. "Anyo lady, why are you crying? Did I say something wrong?" he asked frantically. No. You didn't say anything wrong, it's just that I was told you were dead," she said while Naruto looked shocked. "But why would you be told I was dead?" he asked while the lady smiled at him and wiped her tears away. "My name is Tsunade Senju and I am your godmother," the now revealed Tsunade said while Naruto looked shocked. "Gee, godmother? But the old man said he didn't know who my parents were," Naruto said as Tsunade looked at him curiously. "Who? The Hokage," Naruto verified. "Oh," she said. They sat there talking throughout the day, getting to know each other while Tsunade told him about his parents, how they loved him and how happy they were to be parents. He met Shizune Kato, her apprentice. "How long can you stay, Naruto-kun?" asked Tsunade. "About a month before the Hokage goes back to the village," Naruto said. "Okay, then we'll teach you some things while you are here, okay?" Tsunade said while Naruto smiled widely. Lady Tsunade hasn't been this happy since she found out she was going to be a godmother, Shizune thought, watching as Tsunade picked up Naruto and carried him out of the dango stand to their hotel room. Flashback end. Naruto was knocked out of his thoughts as he was on his way back to the bar Jiraiya was in when it was almost midnight. Everyone was asleep with the exception of Naruto and Tsunade. They were currently sitting on a rooftop with Naruto sitting behind Tsunade with her in between his legs, as he hugged her from behind as she snuggled into his warmth. "So why did you and Jiraiya come to find me?" Tsunade asked. "The fire daimyo wants you to be the 5th Hokage," Naruto responded. "I refuse," she said immediately. "I knew you would," Naruto said, causing Tsunade to turn her head to him, "but I still want you to come back," he said as he leaned into the nape of her neck. "Why? I'm no one special, Naruto-kun, you should just get on with your life. You don't need some washed-up old hag like me," Tsunade said sadly while Naruto hugged her tighter. "You're special to me. I love you, Tsunade-chan," Naruto said while Tsunade's eyes widened and she blushed as Naruto stood up. "You're a very special person, Tsunade, and I'm going to prove it to you," Naruto said as he took her hand and cut his palm, taking some of her chakra along with the blood that dropped from his palm split into two puddles and blood clones formed. Picking Tsunade up bridal style, hang on. Naruto said as he jumped off the roof and took off through the skies with Tsunade screaming and clutching onto him for dear life. While flying, Tsunade looked at the stars and reached out for the clouds. She looked at the moon and a familiar feeling went through her. What is this feeling? Why is it that every time I see a full moon I get a massive surge of energy all of a sudden? It feels so primal. Mito-ba said all Uzumakis get this feeling. Does Naruto-kun have it too? Tsunade thought to herself as she looked at Naruto. Where are we going? She asked. Look ahead. Naruto said. Tsunade looked ahead to see a bowl-like palace causing her eyes to widen. It's called the Lookout. The first Uzumakis trained here. Naruto said. How come no one knew of this place? She asked. It's been lost through time. Everything of the Uzumaki clan was transported here when Uzu was attacked, as there is a seal on the land that transported everything of importance up here. Naruto explained. So that's why Iwa and Kumo were so angry when they had nothing to get from Uzu's ruins. Tsunade thought. Why are you bringing me here? She asked. This is a part of your heritage. You have the blood of the greatest race ever to exist, as well as the founder of ninjutsu's blood running through your veins. You have the power in you to be the strongest kunoichi to ever grace the elemental nations. Naruto said as he landed on the platform and set Tsunade down, who looked at him in shock before she looked away. And how am I supposed to do that, Naruto-kun, when I can't even stand the sight of blood? She asked as he took her chin and turned her face to him as he put his forehead to hers. You are going to train up here, and I'm going to give you back your youth. Naruto answered. What? How? She asked Naruto, who pulled back. Relax. Naruto said as he channeled his celestial energy into his fangs and bit into Tsunade's neck and pushed the energy into her. As his body started to glow, Tsunade felt more energy than she ever felt in her life. Her hair started gaining red highlights, her got bigger, growing to a cup. Naruto was surprised at how potent the Saiyan blood in her was before he unlocked it, and her bones got stronger as her body turned to that of a 19-year-old's. When he was finished, Tsunade pulled him into a kiss. Wow, she said after Naruto pulled back before she noticed that her voice sounded younger. What did you do to me? She asked. I turned your body back to a 19-year-old's. Although I had no idea that your would grow that big. Naruto answered as he muttered the last part. Anyway, now you had no excuses. I'm going to train you in the hyperbolic time chamber for 6 years, making that 6 days outside. Naruto explained as he started to explain what the hyperbolic time chamber was, before they went to bed. Next day. Hyperbolic time chamber. Naruto was staring out at Tsunade, who was getting control over her hemophobia faster than he thought she would. They had been in here for about 30 minutes. He had a blood clone keep cutting itself till she stopped shivering, and it looks like she finally got over her fear. That was easy, Naruto said. Yeah, I guess it was. Tsunade trailed off. I thought about what would happen if I got into a fight, or if you and Shizune needed me to heal you guys, and it got easier to overcome my fear of blood. Tsunade said. Good, now I'm going to teach you about ki. Naruto said as he sat down in front of her and motioned for her to do the same. Now ki is the physical component in chakra. The more you train in it, the more stronger you'll get. To access your ki, I want you to focus and look deep within yourself. Ignore the chakra and look for the more free-flowing energy. It's more potent, and for us it should be primal as well. When you feel a pull, bring it out. Naruto explained as he showed her how it was done as a small red ki ball appeared in his hand, which entranced Tsunade by its beauty. Tsunade put her hands in front of her and focused as she looked deep inside herself. She went around her chakra and another source of energy. This one was chaotic and potent, but it wasn't free-flowing. Looking even deeper, she found a massive source of power. It was free-flowing and really potent. When she felt a pull, she pulled it out, and when she opened her eyes, a forest green ki was between her hands. She looked up to see Naruto smiling at her. Now we'll focus on controlling it, Naruto said as the orb diminished. 4 years later, 4 days later, outside chamber. It's been 4 years for Tsunade and Naruto in the time chamber. Since then he's had Tsunade using shadow clones to learn Fuinjutsu, Taijutsu, Ninjutsu, Genjutsu, and Kenjutsu, as well as teaching her about Riryoku. Currently 8,000 Tsunade shadow clones were working on sealing with a clone of Naruto watching over them. The original Naruto and Tsunade were currently in the sky sparring. A yellow streak fell from the sky revealed to be Tsunade, although her hair was golden blonde and spiked while her eyes were teal. She looked up at Naruto, who was also in his Super Saiyan form, smirking at her. He gives her the bring it gesture and she smirks before disappearing a burst of speed and reappears behind Naruto. She kicks him in the back, sending him flying into the ground, but he manages to stop himself. Sensing a spike of chakra, Naruto looked up just in time to see a wood dragon heading his way. The wood dragon struck the ground, while Naruto tackled Tsunade from behind, sending them to the ground, rolling to a stop. Naruto was on top of Tsunade between her legs. They stared into each other's eyes before Tsunade pulled him into a kiss, before pulling back. Well, when you gave me my mate mark, information rushed through my head, and among the information was a way to make Shizune immortal till she finds someone to love and gives it up, but it's her choice. Tsunade said, making Naruto nod. What are you going to tell Jiraiya about your sudden growth spurt? She asked. Kyuubi, Naruto said, simply causing Tsunade to nod. I still don't get why the fire daimyo would want to speak with us. Mito-chan knows but refuses to say anything about it. Naruto said, we'll see when we get to Konoha. Tsunade said, yeah, let's hurry, you have a meeting with the snake in a couple of hours. Naruto said as he and Tsunade flew to the village they were staying in for the time being. As they flew through the window they saw the blood clones asleep on the bed. Dispelling the clones, Tsunade and Naruto got into bed and fell asleep smiling. Next day, Tsunade was with Shizune waiting for her ex-teammate and his boy toy to show up. She had tried to explain things to Shizune, but the girl wouldn't shut up to give her the opportunity to explain. Orochimaru and Kabuto had emerged from the ground a few dozen feet from Tsunade, who was now faking a resigned face while Shizune was looking at her in disappointment. So, did you make up your mind, Tsunade? Orochimaru inquired. Yes, on only one condition. You get the sacrifices. I don't care who, how, or from where, nor do I want to know. Tsunade sighed. Very well, it's not that much of a request. I'm sure I have some prisoners I don't need somewhere. Orochimaru shrugged nonchalantly. Fine then, let's do this. Tsunade sighed as she and the snake approached each other while Kabuto stood still and watched her movements suspiciously. Tsunade's arm was glowing with green chakra as she raised it to touch the wound on Orochimaru's arm, where the puppet arm started, only for the snake to jump back when a kunai thrown by Kabuto struck the ground between the two legendary ninja. What is it, Kabuto? Orochimaru asked calmly. That is a medical jutsu covering a wind blade channeled around her palm. I almost didn't notice it. Kabuto replied. So, Tsunade, you have decided to betray me. Orochimaru concluded. Nah, really? Tsunade rolled her eyes as she slashed her hand towards the two. Orochimaru and Kabuto jumped away and avoided the blade, only to gulp when a thin but deep gash formed into the ground. Interesting, I didn't know you could use wind manipulation. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes. Oh, you've seen nothing yet. Tsunade whispered as she appeared before the two and punched them in the gut, blowing them away to the grassy field outside the town. It seems your legendary strength isn't working too well. Kabuto said in amusement. After all, it didn't even bruise us. He finished while she raised an eyebrow. Kabuto, subdue her. I'll keep an eye on her companion in case she tries anything. Orochimaru ordered. Oh, no need. I tried to explain the situation to her but she wouldn't listen and now I'm ordering her to not interfere. Tsunade said, looking over her shoulder at Shizune, who was looking at her in shock before she shunpoed before Kabuto and aiming to crush his ribcage in one blow. Unfortunately, she charged her chakra a moment too long, and that was enough for Kabuto to jump away. The resulting crater was of considerable size. Lady Tsunade, it would seem you're getting slow in your old age. Kabuto smirked. Too bad for you, you were quite a fighter in your prime. A pity. He finished taunting as he activated his chakra scalpel. He then found himself flying away with 2 broken ribs courtesy of Tsunade, who had appeared besides him during his rant. I don't have time for weak rookies. Tsunade declared as she approached Orochimaru, who had bitten his finger until it bled. It seems you got over your hemophobia. Orochimaru mused as he watched Tsunade approach as he held his hand up for her to see the blood. No matter. He added before doing a few hand signs using the time limit he had till the pain in his arm will restart and slammed palm onto the ground. In a puff of smoke Orochimaru was standing on top of the 2-headed snake he had summoned. You think a grass worm like that can hurt me? I'm insulted. Tsunade frowned as the head Orochimaru wasn't on lunged at her. Without hesitation she backhanded it before looking at Orochimaru and realizing it had been a diversion. Wind release, wind bullet. Orochimaru called out as he spat a highly pressurized mass of chakra right at her. She had gotten too jumpy, Tsunade realized as the jutsu was about to hit her. She had shown too much too early and made the snake too paranoid to allow her to approach him so easily. As she jumped away and saw the blast expand, her thoughts were, let's have fun. She was completely enveloped by the blast and Orochimaru blinked sheepishly at the power he had unleashed on the person he hoped to heal him. There goes that idea. I must acquire the Sharingan earlier than expected it seems. Orochimaru mused as the dust began to settle. He was a little surprised that a figure was still standing in there, but he remembered about the seal on Tsunade's forehead. Still, she could have a limb missing. She can't regrow that, he muttered as he prepared to fight an angry Tsunade who was running low on chakra. Instead, he saw her standing there looking bored, her clothes dirty but otherwise unharmed while the seal on her forehead remained. Orochimaru-sama. Kabuto announced his presence. He landed beside the snake Sannin. Interesting. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes before forming a ram hand sign. Kai, but nothing changed. So it wasn't genjutsu, she really is unharmed. Kabuto observed. Yes, though I doubted she was using any genjutsu anyway. You see, the one she's using to look young makes her unable to cast any other genjutsu worth using. And it was never her specialty anyway. Orochimaru mused. I thought you'd be done by now, Tsunade-chan. A voice was heard, making Orochimaru's and Kabuto's head look to the left. Yeah, well, shit happens. Tsunade grinned at her mate who had appeared along with Jiraiya. How's the barrier? She asked. What barrier? Orochimaru inquired before Naruto could answer. I think that one. Kabuto said as he pointed at the sky. Glancing upwards, the eyes of the snake Sannin widened. It was enormous. A humongous cage with various symbols he didn't understand was projected above them, having a diameter of nearly 2 miles. And as he glanced downwards from the edge of it, he noticed that the barrier they were in was in the shape of a cylinder. How do you like it, Orochimaru? Jiraiya smirked. The kid's a natural. Why thank you, Jiraiya, Naruto said. You damn brat. Orochimaru roared. I'll make you pay. Enough chatter, Jiraiya said before he quickly made some hand signs. Earth release. Swamp of the underworld. He called out and a swamp formed under the snake summon, quickly dragging it in its depths. Tisk. Orochimaru said in annoyance as he jumped away with Kabuto while drawing some blood before slamming his hands to the ground as he landed. Tsunade and Jiraiya doing the same as they saw their actions. Summoning jutsu. All 3 Sannin called out and a few moments later Gamabunta, Manda and Katsuyu were face to face, their respective summoners on their heads. Orochimaru, why have you summoned me? Manda demanded. It's an honor to fight besides you once again, laid Tsunade. Katsuyu said. Ah, it's a reunion. Gamabunta chuckled. It's nice to be summoned to fight again. Speak, Orochimaru, why did you bring me here? You know the price of my services. The snake boss demanded. That town over there has double the tribute. Kill them all and they're all yours. And make the blonde brat suffer. Orochimaru hissed before grinning evilly. You're out of your league, brat. Really? Naruto asked as he started going through hand signs before he drew blood and slammed his hand on the ground. Summoning jutsu. A red flash appeared, making everyone look away or cover their eyes. When they look upwards again, shock, surprise and fear were what they felt. Above them was a beast that they thought was trapped in a seal to never breathe fresh air again. Above them was Kyuubi no Kitsune, but he was bigger than he was the last time he was seen. What in fuck? How's he able to summon the Kyuubi? Kabuto yelled in horror as he stared upwards. I don't know, but we had to get the hell out of here. Orochimaru hissed. So Orochimaru, am I in your league now? Naruto asked innocently. Naruto, why have you summoned me? Kurama questioned as he glanced around before looking down and spotting the 3 summons. Ah, I see. Just the snake and the ones on its head. The others are on our side. Naruto instructed. Just that garden worm? Kurama questioned. Then what did you summon me for? Those 2 are more than enough to take it down. Hey, I thought you could use some fresh air, but if you don't want it I can summon Gyuki then. Naruto said. No, I got it. Sheesh, I mean, I do like to see the outside world every once in a while. Kurama said as Yuki, unnoticeable from below, began to gather in his mouth. Yosu-chan, perv. Stand back a bit, Naruto told those bellow. The frog and slug were at the edge of the barrier so fast that all Naruto could do was blink owlishly for a moment. Manda was looking at Kyuubi above his with wide eyes as Kyuubi's mouth began to glow. Orochimaru, how the hell did you anger this man to have something like the Kyuubi? The snake boss trembled as he saw Kami's chosen one, who was introduced to every summoning contract a little of a month ago. You know this kid? Orochimaru paused from staring in abject horror at the tailed beast. He is Manda. Naruto interrupted. Manda turned to him. Don't you dare tell this foolish mortal about what I am. Naruto hissed as he glared. Why yes Naruto-sama. Good, now I want you to remove every name off the snake contract with the sole exception of Anko Mitarashi, if not then there will need to be a new snake summon boss. Naruto threatened Manda, who nodded as he saw the glow in Kurama's mouth seem to intensify. I accept, Manda hissed eagerly. Don't you dare, Orochimaru yelled before he and Kabuto were thrown off. Shut up you idiot, I'm not committing suicide for you. Manda hissed angrily before leaving Orochimaru's side and heading for Naruto and Kurama, who was waiting. Tsunade, he's all yours. Naruto smirked as the blonde dashed by him and socked the pale Sannin in the jaw, sending him flying until he hit the barrier and slid down. Kabuto wasn't any luckier as Jiraiya began pounding him as well. Meanwhile, Naruto looked at Manda and placed a huge scroll on his back. You're free to go. This scroll has food for you and you can. Also, it would be appreciated if you removed Orochimaru's snakes from it right away. Naruto said. It shall be done. Manda bowed before leaving in a puff of smoke. Naruto then thanked Kurama, who was said he didn't get to fight away. Naruto then headed for Tsunade, who was still pounding Orochimaru. Something's wrong. Naruto frowned. It's too easy. Any last words, Snake? Tsunade growled as she was about to crush his skull. Kabuto had long since died. Why yes. Orochimaru spat some blood. When I'm healed, I will crush Konoha. You still think you can escape? Jiraiya laughed. You took too many hits to the head. Why should I escape when I'm not even here? Orochimaru grinned evilly as he raised his hand to perform a hand sign. Naruto however shunpoed his side and grabbed his arm before slapping a tag to his forehead that glowed red before disappearing. I should have known. Naruto growled. You are a coward, after all. What is it, Naruto? Tsunade frowned. That's not really Orochimaru. Naruto explained as the snake was forming the same hand sign again and again without any result. It's a human sacrifice that, through a technique, it looks like him and has all his abilities besides some bloodlines and only a portion of his chakra. He learned it during his time in Akatsuki. And, true enough, Kabuto was revealed to be some other silver-haired teenager. What did you do? Orochimaru demanded. I sealed you in here until the sacrifice dies. You can no longer end the technique yourself. Naruto smirked. Then it's a matter of time. Orochimaru deducted. Yes. Naruto nodded, as he placed his glowing hands on the snake's vitals and partially healed him. Tsunade, hit him where it hurts but it's not fatal. We aren't in any hurry. Gladly. Tsunade smirked as she tore Orochimaru's limbs and began to dissect him while Naruto healed him just enough for him to live. She removed his organs one by one and crushed them before his horrified eyes until only the vitals remained. At that point she took his still beating heart out of his chest and crushed the heart and revealing it to have been an auto-nen. Well, let's clean up and head home. Tsunade said with a $1,000,000 smile as she got up, grabbed Naruto, and headed towards the town, the barrier having disappeared when Orochimaru's technique ended.
That's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, then please like, share and do comments.